Question: why do they always talk over me? Why can't I be heard? What is it that I'm not understanding as to why I am being projected onto? Individuals who have a fragmentation that sits within the left and the right hemispheres of the brain, challenged to be able to actively listen, hold the information that they receive, and then interpret and communicate in response in a way that is helpful for feeling connected to another individual. What this means is that the left and the right hemispheres of the brain, or that of which you interpret by the left being that of an expression of the feminine and the right being that of an expression of the masculine, means that the individual itself has gone through a point of tethering between masculine and feminine and has unable at that point in time to be able to be in receptivity and in the expression of outward thought or communication. And so the masculine energetic expression and the feminine energetic expression become that of a quick moment to moment movement between both sides of the brain's hemispheres, which causes one to be able to receive for a certain period of time, but then to formulate thought has to slip into a new form of thought form, which means that they want to express before they forget, because they are moving between both hemispheres of the brain at such a rapid rate through the fragmentation and the separation of the masculine and feminine elements within themselves based on whatever wounding they have yet to recognize or realize within their own internal expression. And this causes for a sense of internal and then external at such a rapid rate that the internal receivership is then a moment of requiring to express in this fear that they will not be able to stay in connection to the communication. And so what is driven is a fear of connection, because the individual themselves is moving between separation at such a fast rate that they do not know what the merging of these two individual consciousnesses together feels like in a moment of connection, as they are yet to come into a union point of their own inner masculine and feminine. And so when one feels that they have to speak over from this higher state of consciousness, it is because they have wounded aspects of not only their feminine, but their masculine energies. And that causes them to act out of either hemisphere of the brain in response to whatever internal expression they are interpreting the world from, and then how they meet the world based on their belief systems and their values as to how they can receive validation for who they be. And so what that means is that because the left and the right hemispheres of the brain are completely divided in a masculine representation and a feminine representation, and which a human being may stand in on the forefront, they may stand in their masculine, but their internal unconscious is actually sitting in their feminine, and there's this separation point that they don't know how to actually bring them so they stand side by side, so that there is the active listening and being able to listen and hold and then respond. Because there is such a distance between the masculine and the feminine aspect of the self, when there is someone who talks over you or projects, it's because they're jumping between such a large bridge or separation point that they're actually unable to see the masculine's point of view and the feminine's point of view of their own experience, and bring them into a cohesive response to gift a more level headed or a balanced expression of the self. And so, what that means is that until this individual starts to see that their masculine and their feminine are trying to validate themselves through their external experience, they can start to then notice that the masculine part of themselves and the feminine part of themselves just require to come into witness of self in a more balanced point of expression, so that the feminine feels seen and held and the masculine feels heard, and there is a connection point between these inner realities until there can be a communication internally. Once this inner communication point of their own inner masculine and feminine happens, what happens is the separation point between the left and the right hemispheres of the brain and the circuitry systems allows for these to start to weave in a new energetic representation, which then allows for there to be less of a separation of my masculine and my feminine, and I actually come into a point of union, of oneness, which means that when I'm hearing someone, I'm able to be present. And when I'm able to hear someone, I'm able to hold the information that I have to share, but in presence, I realize that what they're sharing is God speaking directly to me, so that then I have the ability to be able to sit with it. And because I'm sitting in presence, by the time they finish sharing, what I wanted to share as a contribution may be completely different to what I've been holding in presence in response. If we tend to want to, I forget what I'm going to share, if it is forgotten by the time it is time for that space to open up to communicate back, what happens is an opportunity to speak what's actually alive and present in that moment forward, rather than reaching back into something that is of a past, or perhaps actually not even relevant to what is being provided in the moment of connection.